With us, we're changing the subject completely and talking about your heart health, especially as it relates to women. We have with us Katie and Janet. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Katie's from the American Heart Association of Maine, and Janet, we all know, is a local.
Hey, thank you.
With CSM Real Estate, and of course, you're also somebody who's had issues with your own heart health, so that's why you're here with Katie. Now, there's an event going on in Portland this week, which is a specific fundraiser, but in a broader picture, what is it you do and what is the message you'd like to put out for our viewers?
This week we have our Hearts on Ice. That's Wednesday at Aura, and what we're doing is raising funds and awareness of women and heart disease. Heart disease still remains the #1 killer in women across the country, and kills about 1 woman in 3 about every 80 seconds. And the most important thing that we want to get people to realize is that 80% of heart disease is actually preventable through diet and exercise, and that's a real big message we're always trying to get out there is eating healthy and exercising like skiing really does a huge impact on your heart health.
But that's not necessarily a guarantee, because a lot of our viewers, our demographics happen to be a fairly, knock on wood, healthy audience because of our lifestyle. Some parts of it at any rate. But you can assume that you're doing okay, but you might not be okay. That's my point.
Absolutely. There is still a chunk of the population that still can have heart disease or stroke, and a lot of that can be through genetics. Sometimes people can catch a virus that can attack the heart, and sometimes it could just be a fluke where you have a plaque that builds up in your arteries that comes loose and can cause a heart attack or stroke. So what we also want to really have people understand are the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. Especially in women, it's very vague. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a uncomfortable feeling. It's not the elephant on the chest. It could be sort of a annoying pressure in your back, in between your shoulder blades. Sometimes it could be a wrist or arm issue where you have an ache, you're not quite sure what's going on, but it's not feeling quite right. And fatigue, just exhaustion, you're tired, you want to take a nap at the end of the day. These are signs that maybe something is going on, and what we do is encourage you to have a conversation with your doctor. But if you really don't feel like it's normal, and we say it's women's intuition, call 911. Get to the hospital. They're really the best people that can diagnose if something's going on. And even with EKGs and things like that, it's a blood test that can indicate if someone's having a heart attack. And we really encourage people to advocate for themselves on those things.
That's when you say 1 out of 3, that's a pretty high statistic. It's surprising we don't have more awareness of that.
Well, about when we started the Go Red campaign 15 years ago, only 7% of women that were surveyed understood that heart disease was their #1 risk.
Wow.
So we had a huge job to do, and 15 years later, we're at around 50% where women understand that heart disease is their #1 risk. But it still leaves 50% of that population not knowing that they're at risk of heart disease.
How have things improved as far as health technology to make that change?
Well, at the time, about 15, 20 years ago, a lot of the research and ways to detect heart disease were still designed for men. And the vascular system and men's heart are larger than women, so the technology, understanding of how to medicate or prevent heart disease is shifting. So we're having a lot more of that happening with women, but again, the STEM, the studies, things like that, we're still in need of more research, and that's why we're raising more funds, and we're really trying to target that women population.
Right. And I think, you used to think guys, heart attack. Women, heart attack? No.
And women actually are more at risk than men, and more women die of heart disease than men. And so it's just something that the population still doesn't understand.
And to chip away at the perception.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you could be a very healthy individual that you're exercising, you're doing everything right, and you can still have some form of heart disease.
There's
and
no
again,
guarantees.
No guarantees.